This cat is up on this table and will not. I've put her down 3 times, and she's like, maybe I want to be on the call.
I love it. I'm here for it.
Is the cat immortal? You put her down 3 times and she's still alive?
Oh, no!
She still has 6 lives.
Megatron must be stopped, no matter the cost.
Hello, friends, and happy belated Valentine's Day. Welcome to the Sideways Autopod Decepticast, which today we're calling Auto Mike's Deceptijet. The title of the episode, I'm sorry, Michael Andrews, no, you don't get to talk yet. I know you did a poll, but we're going with Prime and Prejudice for this episode name. I'm pretty sure that's what Caleb put up there. He's very good at that kind of stuff. I'm your host, Ryan, and I hate being the main host. This sucks. I never want to be in charge of anything, and here we are. The reference has aged poorly because of what a piece of shit Kevin Spacey is, but I am like, I want the least amount of responsibility possible for American Beauty. I don't know how Aaron does this, and we're just going to press on. So I have a little story for you, friends, because I'm in the driver's seat, and I get to shoehorn whatever the fuck I want into it. Haha, Aaron, you sloppy bitch. I don't even have to run this by you for a vanity edit.
Shots across the bow!
So it was years ago, back in Colombia. I was a young girl living with my family in our sentient casita. When our family miracle, our gifts started to fade. We use all our gifts to help everyone in our village. Abuela says everything is fine, but I'm not so sure. I wasn't given a gift, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. My oldest sister, Mikel Andrews, is beautiful and perfect and has the ability to grow plants in astounding amounts. She's engaged, but doesn't really want to marry him and is tired of being the model of perfection. My second sister, Seibert, is big and beautiful and moves mountains and churches. She glows because she knows what her worth is, but sometimes feels that the pressure of being the family's rock is just too much to bear. No mistakes. Eventually, I find my Uncle Bruno, who I don't talk about, and yada, yada, yada. It's about generational trauma and living in denial and understanding that you can ask for help and being seen, and that's healthy and okay. Gentlemen, introduce yourself. Tell us your favorite character from Encanto and why it's Dolores.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, yes, as alluded to, I am I guess I'm the growing sister, the plant sister.
Isabel.
Mikel Andrews, a.k.a. Ultra Mikeness, a.k.a. Michael Motorcycle. Let's get that out of the way because Seibert's going to call me that. I am in.
No, that's an Aaron thing.
Yeah.
Aaron, that's an Aaron thing. Also, your pizza tossing Mike. Don't forget.
No, of course, the pizza. I'm also a Sector 7 candidate, and I'm here today to learn Earth's languages through the World Wide Web.
Oh, God, fantastic.
Hi, I'm Mike Seibert, and I haven't seen that movie.
Sorry. I've become I may be having a problem. I've become slightly obsessed with it. I've watched it like 3 times in the past week, and I keep playing the music or the songs on YouTube, and it has really messed up my algorithm. And yeah,
I understand.
It's
and
fantastic.
It
Mike
is.
Seibert,
you
are on the outs on this one.
I understand. And you know what? I'll tell you. I'll tell you right here that there was a quarter second where I was going to do some really quick research and just see if I could fake my way through it. And I'm like, nope, this is a podcast about authenticity and friendship, and I'm not going to do that. That would be not great. So I just thought
better not sociopath my way through this one.
It's like, thanks for having me. I thought I had something good. Hey, you guys remember Weekends?
Yes.
The best I could come up with on short notice. We're gonna have some flat beers, watch
Warm
the
beer and a cold
Sax.
hot dog, couple of broads. I don't know what that guy said.
I've heard there's some kind of sports game coming up.
Oh yeah, you might even say it's the big game. You might even say it's super. Fun fact, because I for those that might not know, for my day job, I work at a radio station, and the misconception that you can't say Super Bowl is false. For usage, you can't use it for promotions. So it'd be like, hey, come to our Super Bowl party. You can't do that because you're treading on the name to collect monies. But if you're just talking in casual conversation, yeah, you could say Super Bowl. It's
I
fine.
didn't
It's
know
like,
that was a
it's not like,
thing.
oh yeah, oh that's yeah, that's totally a thing. So like, if you are for example, a radio station and you're doing a promotion where you're going to host a viewing party of the big game, that's what you have to call it. It'd be like,
Wow.
oh, hey, come out to Jimmy Z's and watch the big game with your favorite morning DJs.
That is weird.
Or
Is it just
whatever.
the NFL is just like litigious about it, or?
Yes. Think Mattel is litigious? You think Hasbro is litigious?
We know
yeah.
Disney is.
That is true. Oh man.
Well, they know if you're not there in person at the stadium, you're not going to watch the Super Bowl. The only way to watch it is in the seats. I mean, you can't give away that money.
Right, exactly. That precious paper.
So this episode is going to come out around Valentine's Day. I'm hoping to get it turned around to broadcast Sunday, the 13th. We'll see. Yes, I think I've told this story. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
I love it. Your voice is perfect.
We loved it the first 2 times.
I think I've told this story before on the podcast, but my girlfriend and I started talking on Tinder around this time almost 5 years ago, and one of our first interactions was me trying to make a clever joke by saying, and this is all over text, obviously, so tomorrow's Valentine's Day. Is it a bad holiday or the worst holiday? And that joke did not land at all. Her response was, it's just a Tuesday, my dude, which has become a running joke every year. She actually gave me a card our first Valentine's Day that said that in there. And she's also known too many Ryans over the years, and apparently was not going to add any more to the friend/dating mix, but had a rule at the time: if somebody super liked her, she would talk to them, and I did that, and so here we are.
Good job, super like
buddy.
Are you guys planning anything for Valentine's Day?
No.
Yeah,
I've been married for 20 years. It's it's a Tuesday, my dude. Yeah. Well, and my wife is kind of sort of the same way in that, like, she goes even further. Like, we I don't know if we're like closeted Seventh-day Adventists or Jehovah's Witnesses or whichever the ones don't have holidays. We don't really do like a bunch of like holiday stuff. I mean, we'll do the biggies, the big family stuff, like, Christmas, but even like Thanksgiving is kind of like super low key because it's like just the two of us. We'll sometimes go to like other gatherings. Sometimes we'll be super low key and just maybe watch like a trilogy of movies or something over a long weekend. But yeah, like I learned that early on in our relationship that stuff like Valentine's Day just thumbs down. Also, for folks, if you're like in a young relationship and you think that perhaps clothing might be a good gift, rethink that. I learned that lesson about 19 years ago.
Oh yeah, I was for a Christmas gift. I was looking because West has like a lot of. She was talking about, I don't even remember what it was she was wanting, and I went on Etsy to look for it because she likes to shop on there, and I'm like, nah. So I got her a gift card to Etsy because I'm like, no, I can't do this. I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to do too much, I think, kind of lay low, but I did get my partner Kate a Hello Kitty Gundam model kit.
Ooh.
You can
tell me more.
Hello Kitty or a Gundam, or you can combine them to be a Hello Kitty Gundam.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's like pink, so it's pretty Valentine's-esque. And I'm also watercolor painting her a picture of her favorite Power Rangers villain that happens to be Valentine's themed.
That's sweet.
So, yeah.
Nice. I don't know anything about any of those. What who is this villain person?
Her name's Archerina. She's from Power Rangers Zeo. She's the second installment of Power Rangers after the famous original one.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and she's all just kind of hearts and ruffles and flowers and an archer, so that shoots love arrows.
Okay.
Cool.
Yes.
Wasn't there an action figure of this person recently that now that you're talking about, I'm imagining it's like a character with like a giant bow or something like that?
There's not an action figure for her now, and there never was, which is kind of a bummer. And actually, part of the reason I'm doing a watercolor is because I went online to try to find any artwork or anything related to this character, and there's like nothing. So I'm taking it upon myself, and if it's fruitful, I'll go on Etsy myself. Maybe I'll find a new career painting this character for stickers.
I love it. That is very sweet. You guys have such a sweet relationship. I don't know. That is like hashtag relationship goals.
Mike Seibert's version of sweet is just we celebrate holidays. That was too strong for him.
Yeah, no, it's going to be like high fives as I'm heading off to work. It's like, hey, good morning. Can I refill your coffee? Sure, bro. Cool. All right. Well, I'll see you later tonight. High five.
We still like each other. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and let's go into today's cocktail that I can't believe I missed this opportunity with our last proper APDC episode, but we're doing a Groundhog's Day cocktail for this one, even though the holiday is past. My girlfriend, who's much more on Reddit and Tumblr than I am, has seen a lot of chatter that American Groundhog's Day wasn't really a thing until the 1993 Bill Murray movie came out, but that's completely ludicrous. It's actually been celebrated kind of forever, like since the 1800s at least. And the movie just made it aware to an international audience, who seems to think that our holiday is insane, which it is. It's a marmot foretelling the future. Hibernating animals predicting upcoming weather goes back as far as human culture, and Groundhog's Day in particular comes from the Pennsylvania Dutch communities. February 2nd was chosen because it's right in the middle of winter and spring equinox. Okay. Have I explained it enough? Great. In the 1993 movie, which Aaron, Caleb, and I went to see in theater for Caleb's, I think, 16th birthday, Rita, played by Andie MacDowell, orders her favorite drink, which is sweet vermouth on the rocks with a twist. Technically, this is not even a cocktail because a cocktail has to have 3 ingredients, and this is just sweet vermouth, ice, and a lemon twist. So it's 2 ounces or 60 mils of sweet vermouth and a fucking twist of lemon. And I mean, pour it over ice and stir it up. Put a lemon peel in it. This is surprising because I actually do like it. I didn't think I would, and because in the movie his reaction is very like, but it's herbal and floral, and it's actually quite delicious. I don't imagine I could drink more than one, but it's kind of a fantastic aperitif. I was really shocked over how much I liked it.
What's the difference between the vermouth in your glass right now and the vermouth I put in the spaghetti sauce I'm making?
I don't know. What?
Also, you're putting vermouth in your spaghetti sauce?
I've never heard of that.
Like a cooking vermouth. It's used in place of like a wine.
Really?
I've heard of cooking wine. I've never heard of cooking vermouth.
Huh.
I don't know. I think Kate heard it somewhere, and I've been pouring it in my spaghetti ever since. So here we go.
Yeah, this is just, I think, Gallo sweet vermouth, which is not, it's like $7 a bottle. And I've tried other ones, like Dolan is a very popular one, but I don't like it as much. Sometimes things that are more expensive are worse.
Yeah, wow, the wisdom of the jet.
That's from a TV show. I don't remember which it is, but my girlfriend and I say it all the time because we saw it. It was somebody talking about her sheets on her bed.
Well, it's interesting about the sweet vermouth thing because, like, I remember that from the movie, and obviously I was young enough to where I wasn't drinking with any level of sophistication. Let's just put it that way. But then later on in life, I get into like martinis. Everybody's got like a martini phase, right?
I'm in it,
but for my dude Jet, it's just a constant state of being. But I landed on this weird take where it's just like, is she just drinking an ingredient? Is she just, I mean, is it the equivalent of like ordering like 3 fingers of triple sec? Because it's just like, I mean, that sounds horrid. And so like revisiting the movie as an adult, that's kind of what I thought. I'm just like, ew, that's weird. Or just like drinking like Drambuie straight or something like that instead of like mixing it with scotch. See what I mean? So now I kind of empathize with Bill Murray being like, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I tried it the other night because I had the same like instinctual reaction of like, that sounds fucking gross. But I tried it and I'm like, it's actually not bad. Like chilled and with a lemon in it. I mean, again, I wouldn't have more than one, but it would be it's a nice before like dinner drink.
Gotcha. Like aperitif style.
If he
Exactly.
pours a second one, we know we're in trouble.
It's going off the rails.
Well, that was going to be the follow-up question because guess what, listener, we're probably going to be here for at least a couple minutes. Where are you going next?
No, we're gonna go with a martini. My standby.
Yeah. Nice.
Some people have a martini phase. Ryan Jett has a water phase.
I went through. Yeah, it's mostly water. Gin is mostly water. I did go through a phase in my early 20s where my go-to was rum and pineapple juice, not just regular rum and pineapple juice, which was very hard for bartenders to understand for some reason. They always wanted it to be like Malibu, and I'm like, no, just regular rum. And
Yeah.
Another funny thing is when I went to had the ability to go to the UK, I was like, all right, we're in London. They're definitely let's get some martinis. Nobody knew how to make one, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like
every James Bond movie is bullshit.
Yeah, I got the first one I got was just straight up dry vermouth, and I'm like, this is. To be fair, she was a non-native speaker, but still, and also good luck getting ice.
So you just get warm beer instead.
Yeah. We can go ahead and get into the movie review, though.
Yeah, baby.
So, we're just going to kind of go through the movie in a more or less linear way. Obviously, interject guys at any time. You guys both rewatched this for this episode?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I watched it literally last night. In fact, I might still be a little drunk from that, but
I saw your picture with the bottle of, what was that, bourbon?
Yeah, that's a Tennessee whiskey, Kirkland Signature Tennessee whiskey. I think it's their version of like a Jack Daniel's Jim Beam type of thing. And controversial opinion here. I think I'm a Jack guy. So like
Michael Andrews' face.
Oh well, whatever. Some people like Coke, some people like Pepsi. I happen to like Coke. But no, this is going swimmingly.
Yep, we're all on track.
Yep. But no, my controversial opinion is that Costco brand Kirkland Signature Tennessee whiskey, I think I almost like it better than I like Jack Daniel's. It's got a really smooth vanilla caramel flavor to it, and it is an easy drinker. And as you can see by the amount that was at the bottom of the bottle there in the picture while I was watching my standard def DVD of Transformers 2007. Fun fact, I don't know if you guys had the same experience or not, but my DVD shelf is like in a completely different room, and I'm like, do I really want to get up off the couch and walk into a completely different room to look for a DVD? Now this has got to be streaming somewhere. So I was like, so this is a Paramount movie, right? So I go to my Paramount Plus, and they have Age of Extinction, and thanks for that, and they got that last night. So they have part 4 and part 5, but not part 1, 2, or 3. So then I was like, okay, well, I'll check out the Amazon, and they have none of them for streaming, but you're welcome to rent them for $3.99, or you could buy a 5-movie bundle for like $60. And I'm like,
that's a steal.
I'm like, Hash Brown, no, thank you. And then finally I went to the Hulu, and they have nothing. They have like no Transformers related stuff, which is kind of funny because that's where I watched Bumblebee the first time after seeing it in the theater was on Hulu. But so yeah, it was just like this whole legislation of rotating streaming titles, and so at the end of the day, I have this 2-disc special edition that I bought probably circa 2008. So that's what I watched last night. That's my
well, Michael, not to bust your balls, but it is on HBO streaming. So HBO Max. If
I don't got the Mac. Oh, that's right. That's what I saw on Hulu, and it's like, oh, hey, we have it, and it's like available with add-on, and I go to click on it, and it's like, oh, HBO Max, $14.99 a month, and I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah. I'm like,
Says
I
the guy
don't.
that watched the Snyder cut of Justice League. Now I'm suspicious who
I
you
did.
pirated that from.
My legislation on that is like I paid $15 for 1 month of HBO Max because I figured that's the equivalent of like a movie ticket. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to support this. I'm going to watch it. Yeah, I don't pirate shit. I'm not smart enough or clever enough or anything like that. It's not a morality thing. I'm just not.
I
Smart
try
enough
not
do
to,
it.
but if I'm like, you're making this too hard for me to get. I got this movie from I still have Netflix DVD and streaming. Like, I think I'm the last 3 people who have the DVD service. So I got that, and I'm like, I was really glad it came in time because I'm like, don't make me fucking pay for this movie.
Hey. Before we get off the topic of cool DVD editions, this is my DVD edition, which I grabbed. I know this won't be interesting to listeners at home, but this is my OG original Transformers DVD collector's edition.
That is wild.
The case actually transforms into a better DVD case.
So it transforms from a DVD case into a DVD case. That's a Target exclusive, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there's also a Megatron one floating out there, so that might be my holy grail one day. I need to complete the set.
Yeah, I think that was a Best Buy exclusive. If I'm
You should
not
send
mistaken.
me a picture of that. I'll put it up on the episode for the website. That's I've never seen that.
For sure. I actually have 2 more of them from the other movies, and then they stopped doing them. So I'm a bit of a collector of those.
I understand.
I hadn't seen this movie since the exactly one time I saw it in the theater whenever it came out. And I will say up top, a little bit of spoiler, I did not hate it as much as I remember hating it, but maybe that's partially because I've matured, partially because I was expecting to hate it this time, and partially because I thought it might be the first time I was just very angry and sad. At least that's what I wrote, perhaps prematurely, until about halfway through this movie. As to whether I hated it less or more than before, we'll just have to wait to get there. Place your bets, listeners.
Wow, I like this. I like the degree of mystery and risk.
Michael Andrews, just tell us kind of like your feelings about this movie and how you came upon it. Just give us all the things.
Well, yeah, I guess if you're any bit of a follower of me on Twitter, you know I'm a self-proclaimed Bay-apologist. So I do like this movie. I'm a big fan of the franchise. But it's interesting what you were saying, Ryan, how you kind of, the first time you saw it, you said you were, kind of sad, maybe in a rough spot. I was too, but that's sort of why these movies became my buoys in a stormy sea. The whole entire movie where the time when the franchise was being released, like I just sort of latched on to those. Those were things to look forward to for me. So maybe my rose-tinted glasses, if you will, are because of nostalgia purposes. But I like it, and I also just think this movie in particular, the first movie, it's a great intro to the franchise. For as much as people, the hardcore fans might not appreciate it. It brought in a lot of people that had never heard of Transformers before. It got butts in seats. It's a huge, big popcorn movie. It's the reason people went to movies back in the day. Maybe now still, I don't know. But I think it did exactly what it wanted to do, which was get the word out there about Transformers.
Yeah, no, I agree. I have expound upon that a little bit later. Mike Seibert, did you see this in the theater?
A couple times actually.
Okay.
And so my relationship with the movie is I think a little different than both of yours. So as Michael Andrews has owned his baggage of being a Baypologist, I am the dude that will constantly stand for the Transformers the movie, the 1986 animated movie. That's how I got acquainted with you, Ryan, and Caleb and Aaron, and so much of my I guess, for lack of a better term, internet identity is tied to being a fan of that movie, and I always have been. That was the piece of media that I always hung on to. So it's like I'll always watch Transformers the movie, but by 2007, I was more or less a lapsed fan. I wasn't buying the toys. I wasn't. I don't know if there were any cartoons on at that point because it's before Prime, it's before animated, so I don't know what, if anything, was of. Oh, it's probably in the throes of Unicron trilogy, which I had already decided was not for me, and it was really kind of that feeling of like, you know what, maybe Transformers is not for me. But concurrently, I was reading the comic books, like the IDW series had started in '05, I think, maybe '06. I don't remember, but I was getting those. I was a huge fan of those, and I was a fan of the Dreamwave stuff before that. So I had a foot in Transformers fandom, but I wasn't like as into it as maybe some of our other friends might be or were. I just remember having that palpable excitement of the idea of a live action Transformers movie. And you're telling me that it's going to be Steven Spielberg's going to be involved. Michael Bay is going to direct it. It's like, I like them Bad Boys movies. That, I mean, it's, you know, I like The Rock. I like Armageddon. That this, you know, there could be something here. And I just remember like the commercials, the trailers, you just couldn't get away from it. Once the hype machine was running, even like I had picked up a what was it, the 20th anniversary Transformers the movie DVD. It was the Sony version, and so Sony had something going on with DreamWorks, who had a thing going on with Paramount. So some of the supplemental material on that edition of the Transformers the movie DVD was hype for the upcoming movie. All of this is to say that I was very, very excited for it. And my wife and I went to, we made a special date of it. We didn't go to just a regular movie theater. We went to a movie house in Seattle called the Cinerama. I've talked about it on my show. I think I've talked about it here on APDC. In fact, Aaron actually gifted me like a print of the mural that's on the building of the Cinerama. It's gorgeous. But anyway, it's like the single screen classic movie house that was renovated by Paul Allen. And anyway, it's just it's a place that I go to commune with movies. Like that's the place I go to see movies that means something to me. Like I'm going to go out of my way to go to downtown Seattle to go to this special movie theater to watch it. And as the movie unfolded, I've talked a lot about how when I saw Transformers the movie again in the theater and how it made me feel 7 years old, because it was transportative and you know, it kind of had that magic to it. Transformers 2007 gave me a different feeling. It gave me the I don't know if it's reverse nostalgia, but like the feeling of being an adult, seeing the thing that you loved as a kid being brought to life in front of you. And there is a certain magic to that. And as we go and talk about the movie, there are several bits like that where even in my rewatching it, it's like I could still feel those little tingles where it's just like, oh. And so like it really connected with me, like when it first started. And by the time you get to the end of the movie, it's just kind of like, it kind of loses me a little bit. And I remember coming out of the screening and I had like all my nitpicks. I'm like, you know, this character didn't quite say the right thing. I wanted to see more from this interaction. This is kind of weird and uncomfortable. So, but even so, I was never not a fan of this movie. I've never said that I dislike this movie. I mean, there's varying levels of discomfort with it, but I think folks about me will confuse that because I am so against the live action movies. I think it's this movie, a steep cliff, and then everything else. Like you know, I've talked to Michael Andrews before at length about how much I don't like that second one. We're not going to litigate that here, but I think folks might have a perception that because I don't like the trajectory of where the live action movies went, that I hate this one. And I'm here to say that I don't. I actually like this movie quite a bit and have a great deal of nostalgia for it. So when I watched it last night, it didn't give me the feeling of being 7 years old, like, seeing Transformers the movie, but it did for a moment get me to reconnect with when I was 29 years old, when I saw it in because knocking on the door of 30 and seeing the thing from your youth interpreted in a live action kind of way, that also is kind of like a special, powerful type of nostalgia. So I do have a good degree of goodwill for this movie, but I will say though that and I apologize if this is getting too far ahead, but like the things that I thought that I remembered that made me mildly uncomfortable made me very uncomfortable this time around. So but I'll kind of pin it there for now, but like I don't hate this movie.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's a polite way of saying I don't. Amazing. Everything you just said is completely wrong.
No, not at all. I'm not one of those people who's like either someone who's like, I hate anybody who likes a thing. You're dumb. Like, I'm not like that at all. You can like whatever you want to like, and I'm not also one of those people who's like, oh, it ruined my childhood. Like, grow up. Like.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and the thing also with this movie is that every Transformers is somebody's first Transformers. So even like once you announced the show, Ryan, we've already seen folks interacting with it on Twitter, and even like our new buddy Moondog, he's like, yeah, I watched this movie when I was 5. And so that connection, I guess what I'm saying is like there is a generation of fans that have the same connection to this movie that I have to that 86 movie, and that's not to be discounted. That's not to be pushed aside. And yeah, I hate that gatekeeping stuff.
Yeah,
totally.
And that maybe 25-year-old me would have been that guy, but I think maturing, you're like, man, why are you putting so much energy into being so mad? Like
hating on what someone loves, right?
Yeah. You should try being a Star Wars fan.
I don't want to do that. Like it looks pretty weird, and like
Good night, everybody.
I see it sometimes, and I'm like, I don't know about. Are you guys okay? Like,
yeah, I mean, I tweeted this not too long ago, especially with the fallout of the Book of Boba Fett, where it's just like, Star Wars fans hate nothing more than fun. And I just, I don't know. It's like, I've talked about this a lot, but like I ran to Transformers fandom from Star Wars fandom because I was just so fed up with it.
Yeah. Do not titillate a Star Wars fan. They have
No.
no time for it.
No, that is not on the menu.
As we go through this movie here, I don't necessarily explain totally what every scene is throughout the plot we're talking about, especially near the end, because not only do I assume listeners you've seen the movie, but it really almost doesn't matter. So it's like if you haven't seen it or it's been a while, give it a watch if you want. But it's kind of like the podcast, How Did This Get Made? I don't know that it's essential. Just as some notes I had up top, I really don't mind them changing Spike's name to Sam. Spike is kind of a silly name, like so that makes complete sense. I mean, they could have called him Buster, but that's also a silly name. So I don't. Sam's fine. Like that doesn't bother me at all. Just going into the movie, I do appreciate that they used the robotic, shuddery sound effects for the DreamWorks and Paramount intros. That was fun.
Yeah,
and I have this expounded on later, but it does. Nobody sets out to make a bad movie, and you can tell that people cared when they were making this. Like, there's a lot of little touches, like the Bumblebee air freshener inside a bee, like hanging from the mirror, and like
Notch!
Yeah, and in reading like the articles and the Wikipedia entry on this, like people really did care about this movie.
Oh yeah.
So
Michael Bay cares about this movie. I mean,
yeah,
he didn't make this movie, and he didn't give 10 plus years of his life to making sequels because he wanted to shit on the Transformers.
Yeah. And I have this note later too, but Steven Spielberg was a fan of the toy and the cartoon. Like, so I found that I was like, oh, that's interesting. But yeah, Michael Andrews, you had something to say about a drinking game, perhaps?
Yes, yes. Well, I am going to be watching the movie along with this conversation on my tablet right here. And
Ooh.
in the past, I've done this. It's kind of fun. There's a Transformers 2007 drinking game from realdrinkinggames.com. Yeah, I especially challenge Ryan Jett with your drink if you want to play along at home. Uh, you're supposed to drink every time the words Witwicky, Allspark, Sector 7, or Boy are said. Every time a new transformer is introduced, if there is lens flare,
Oh God.
if there's a
Oh,
transforming
no!
sound effect, good night. A transformer is dismantled or dies. You recognize an audio clip from Bumblebee, or there is the spinning action Michael Bay style
So
signature shot.
you could just kind of just drink an entire bottle of booze and skip the whole thing.
Oh yeah, this is like an intravenous situation. Like this is a steady drip.
Yeah.
Well, listeners at home, be responsible, be careful if you're gonna.
Yes, do this with water, of course. Nothing stronger.
As I was saying, I watched this movie with my girlfriend West, and she, I don't know if she'd seen it before, actually, maybe, but she said that she didn't think I would hate it as much as I did before, and her like bridge to that comment was, at least they got Peter Cullen, which I completely agree. It's like that's yeah. Without that would be a like I don't know if I even would have seen it.
Yeah. I mean that's like it's like a warm blanket to start off the movie where it's like before time began there was the cube and it's just like, you know, just like pulling a warm blanket up to your neck, and it's just like I don't know. I think that performance lends so much authenticity and goodwill to this movie because like everything he says, even like during like the bumbling around at the parents' house, I mean that's kind of fine. It's whatever. It's fine. It's whatever. But like, yeah, I don't need Peter Cullen saying my bad. But still, the stuff that works though, like you know, that obviously that first epic transformation, that's one of the ones where like the hair still stands up on my arms. I still get the
I will
tingles.
agree.
And just where he just says, "My name is Optimus Prime," and it's just like it's like again, it's just like warm milk nostalgia. And it just makes you feel so good, and it just has such a cool texture to it that it wouldn't have had with some lame celebrity stunt cast.
Yeah,
Sure.
and it is interesting because they originally did have Frank Welker to do Megatron, but Michael Bay didn't like it, and so they went with Hugh Weaving. Which
Hugo Weaving.
Hugo Weaving, yeah.
Yeah, I got some notes on that too. But yeah, just kind of as the credits roll here, I just want to. We've talked about Peter Cullen and Michael Bay that kind of made it exciting up front. But for me, it was also exciting because it was written by Alex Kurtzman and Roberto Orsi, who you know, they're J.J. Abrams boys, the old writing team that did Lost. And they were about a year out from doing the Star Trek reboot, which Kurtzman has since gone on to make an established career out of now. He's writing everything that has Star Trek attached.
Yeah.
But yeah, that really got me pumped. And I knew we were in good hands because I love their writing style.
Well, and it's interesting because this movie is kind of like ground zero for like a couple things that would come. Like I wasn't really a J.J. Abrams guy prior to that, so you know Kurtzman and Orsi weren't really known quantities to me. But like when that Star Trek reboot comes around, it's like, oh hey, the Transformers guys, that you know that's kind of cool. And one of the things that's like, you know, like a supplemental extra on my standard def DVD, my 2-disc special edition here, one of the special features is a trailer for Iron Man the first. And because keep in mind that was a Paramount movie, so it's interesting to consider that moment in time. So like 2007 is like a year before Iron Man. It's like a year before Star Trek, and it's just, again, it's just weird how this is just kind of like ground zero, this Transformers movie, for so much that would kind of spring out of it. I don't want to say that like, you know, the Marvel MCU owes a debt to Transformers, but maybe it kind of does. I don't know, but it's just interesting, that connective tissue. And like yeah, looking at this DVD was just kind of like a time capsule.
Yeah, that's true. Like that makes sense. In this, so we'll just go to the first scene. I believe
Yeah.
it's the first scene.
Oh,
of the,
yeah.
of the human military like team flying in a helicopter in Qatar, and the captain says, "I just can't wait to hold my baby girl for the first time," which is a terrible line.
Well, just these things that we all remember, right? These highly nostalgic.
You like in any other movie, that's a sign that guy's gonna die.
Yeah.
Like it's the action movie equivalent, like of saying, "I'm 2 days from retirement."
Right,
Very much
right,
so.
right. It's well
I mean-
to your point. This movie starts like a big disaster movie. Like right out of the gate, you have that vibe of like like the Armageddon style or just that big disaster movie where like some of these guys aren't going to make it.
There's more death in here than I remember. Like a lot of humans die.
Yeah,
Not even just
Oh, yeah.
casually. Like the on-screen deaths for a PG-13 movie, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
I will. Okay, so just up top, I will also say the sound design in this movie is fantastic.
Yes,
It was nominated for an Oscar for Best Sound Editing and Best Sound Mixing, which totally. It was also nominated for Best Visual Effects, which but like the sound in rewatching it like in a critical eye, I'm like, this is really good.
Yeah.
yeah,
and-
and I think the visual effects still hold up, and we'll probably
I
get to
agree.
it the first time we see a Transformer. But God, they're gorgeous. I mean, they're almost too good.
It all holds up here, and I agree with the sound design. I mean, it adds so much depth and texture to it, to like stuff where they didn't have to do that. There's so much. Like, I mean, I remember watching it being like, oh hey, I wish they had the traditional transforming noise, but like the thing that they came up with is still pretty cool. Like the whole slapping metal plates and all that. It gives that real world texture of what a actual transformation, not in a cartoon, would sound like. I really like that. And with regards to the visual effects, also, I think one of the things that we'll talk about as we go is one of the things that makes it hold up so much is so much of it is practical. Like I had forgotten like how much of that Bumblebee is like a puppet, how much of Frenzy is like a puppet, and like there's just so much real there that gives it that depth and texture that I think the later movies kind of forget about, which is probably why it doesn't resonate with me as much.
And I will say in researching this, like on the Wikipedia page, they actually have a graphic where, again, to the point of people cared about this movie, the technical designers like did use real physics and like overlaid how these robots would transform. So the cartoon didn't do that.
Well, and I just want to give a shout out to Michael Bay again, because he's my boy. I still believe to this day he's one of the only people that has the scope and scale to do a Transformers movie. I mean, to his credit, he saw without anything being there, like how big the shots needed to be. He could actually picture, I believe, ahead of time, like where the bots were going to go. And it shows, when you watch Bumblebee, the movie that just came out a few years ago, they kind of squeeze Bumblebee into wherever he needs to be. There's not really that attention in the sets where even when they're battling, throwing battleships at each other, like it still doesn't feel viscerally big like it does in these movies.
Yeah, I agree. Like one of the things that I didn't like about this when I saw it the first time was like I remember, and there is some of this, and I will get to it, but I remember just everything being in a mid shot where it's just like I cannot see what is happening, and that's not really true. There's a lot of wide shots where you see what's actually happening. The mid shots do still irritate the hell out of me, and we'll get to that in the city fight scene, but.
Sure,
that's true. I mean, there is a lot of he does do scope well.
Totally.
I want to talk about the knuckleheads on the helicopter,
Yeah.
because I mean, like Michael Andrews said, there are a lot of generic deadbeats.
It made me think of Predator.
You must have read my mind, because I was going to bring that up. I would love the version of this movie where these guys are the Predator guys, where it's like one of my weird takes is like Predator is a really cool military action movie till a dumb space monster shows up. And I think it would be cool, like if these dudes had some other than just like one note of depth of personality. And the dialogue is bad. The
Ugh.
performances are really stereotypical. I really hate the English dude English. It's like
Oh, we'll get to
that's
that.
that's a very 2007 sentiment that is
A lot of this is
very
not aged
uncomfortable.
well at all. Like,
No. But you get to see Tyrese though. Tyrese is my dude, and I'm just like, oh yeah, that's right.
yeah, I like
there,
him a
there
lot.
there's some folks in this movie, and a vintage 2007 Josh Duhamel. Woo-wee, woof whistle. I mean,
Smoke show.
well, and it's funny because, and it's interesting how things have turned, because like at a time I would say that circa 2007 that Josh Duhamel is a discount Timothy Oliphant, and now it's flipped the other way around, where now Josh Duhamel is a discount Timothy. It's the other way around. I think I said that backwards. I even practiced that and I still got it wrong.
Yeah, I liked him a lot in this movie too. I mean, he's very charming.
I was a fan of him in this TV show called Las Vegas, which has not aged well. I would not recommend revisiting that in any capacity. It is it's like, hey, what's your appetite for casual misogyny? Not very high in the year of our Lord 2022, but he was very funny and charming in that show. So that was kind of like some of the equity that carried into this movie, and he delivers.
So we go to the scene where Blackout, the chopper, attacks the U.S. military base in Qatar to download the top secret government files and attempt to find the location of Megatron and the Allspark. And I do appreciate they did put the G1 transformation sound in as he transforms in the first scene. And
it's the Wilhelm scream, if you will.
Yes.
Star Wars. They just snuck it in there.
Order fire! Stand by to engage!
And just enough use of it too, just enough where it like tickles your ear, and it was enough for me to reach out and squeeze my wife's hand. And then, but like, I mean, that is the first transformation we see in live action, and it is spectacular.
Yeah, it's great.
Just, we're talking about like scope and scale, and just like, we got to put aside the whole logic of the, oh, hey, unidentified helicopter. Hey, you want to identify yourself? Oh, hey, there's an unidentified helicopter. No, we're going to shoot you down. No, we're really going to give you a stern warning. Oh, he's landing now. Oh, just that whole sequence. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, I get to this in a wrap up too, but like, I feel like this movie is way overly long. Like, I feel like you could pluck out huge sections of scenes and it wouldn't matter.
And it feels like they did, though, too. It's like, even for as long as it is, there's some jumps in plot, and like, how it goes from like night to day and day to night and all that. That time passes weird in this movie.
Yeah.
But also plot kind of progresses kind of weirdly as well. But like, I mean, that transformation is still glorious, and like all of the mayhem and like all of those poor soldiers that get smoked.
Everybody gets killed.
Yeah, and it establishes stakes very early on. I remember like when like the Dreamwave comics first came out, like, say what you will and your actual mileage may vary, but one of the things that I liked in like a very early issue, they show humans getting smushed, and I'm just like, whoa, I've never seen a human get smushed before in any kind of Transformers media. This has stakes. So I liked that the attack is so brutal, and that you have that establishment of stakes early on. And I think also because since Blackout isn't a known character, it's a new character, that kind of adds a little bit of mystery that I think makes him a little more scary. Like if it was some fan service character, be like, oh, it's Starscream. Whoa. Oh my gosh, Starscream's killing everybody. It's like, that would be cool in a different way. But for like this telling of the story, I like that it's an unknown.
That's true. I hadn't thought of it that way. I don't mind Blackout being unknown. I will say the fact that they just make a bunch of new Decepticons irritates me. But in this capacity, yeah, you're right, Mike. Yeah.
I had a real problem with it when I was 29 years old. I'm like, oh, of all, I feel the same way about like the X-Men movies and stuff too, where it's like, of all of these characters, you have to make up characters. Come on, come on. But now that it's been, shoot, almost what, 15 years almost? Jesus. But wow, I mean, I became that Matt Damon gif where he just like turns into an old man, just right there. It turned into dust like right before your eyes. But yeah, no, I don't have the hang up on the made up characters or the newly invented characters for the movie that I did then, because I guess I'm just used to it.
Well, I'll go one step further and say that's what I really like about this movie. I've said it before with you, Mike. That's one of the best things that came out of this movie was just new designs, new interesting characters, you know, instead of the rehash of
Are they interesting?
Characters. Well, they're interesting looking.
Yeah.
Are they?
Yes.
Oh man, now
I think this blackout scene is gorgeous. It's a great introduction. And you know, Mike, you were talking about how you know, it's kind of a long intro of like this helicopter is unidentified and that sort of thing, but it's actually a really great because it's a mystery to newcomers, people that don't know what's going to happen. It's a build up for fans, and maybe too long of one there, but it's really building a mystery that there's something up with this helicopter. And that was part of the fun going into these movies is now we don't know what vehicles are going to suddenly pop up into robots.
Yeah.
I do also like the introduction of holographic humans, like in the vehicles, and I think that was probably, I don't remember if that was already in the books in like Dreamwave and stuff, but it's a cool detail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very nice.
All right, so we then transition to Sam Witwicky giving some strange presentation at school. He's a junior in high school, talking about how his great-grandfather led an expedition in the Arctic Circle in 1897, where his great-grandfather stumbled upon a frozen Megatron who had crashed after detecting the Allspark on Earth. Sam's trying to...
Well, he told his whole class that? That's weird.
He did that. I'm just skipping ahead to where we find that out. But Sam is trying to sell the artifacts to his schoolmates so he can give his father, Ron Witwicky, half the money to buy him a car. And he has these glasses, his great-grandfather's glasses, with these strange designs on them. And I will say also, I really enjoy a lot of the acting in this. I like Shia LaBeouf in this. I like Megan Fox.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that they grabbed the kid from Even Stevens and gave him a shot at this.
Yeah,
he knocked it out of the park, and I love the dad. I love Kevin Dunn.
Oh, he's the best.
What a great character actor.
Yeah, and this is my first exposure to Shia LaBeouf. I'm a little too old, but my girlfriend was like, "Yeah, he's a Disney kid."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I had the same experience, Ryan, where I remember we were having drinks with some folks after, like, we had already seen it was after seeing the movie, and I go, I don't know, man, if that Shia kid doesn't watch out, he's gonna have quite the future ahead of him. he's in the Spielberg stable now. I think he's got a bright future. But yeah, he is. It's funny how we retroactively contextualize Shia LaBeouf and his performance in these movies. And I think a lot of it is that our perception is from the later movies, not necessarily this movie. I mean, there's still a lot of the manic energy and the no. I noticed that there's no clause in the drinking game because that's just an instant death.
Homicide.
Yeah, exactly. But there is a charm and a certain intangible thing about his performance as this character that you kind of hang on to. I agree with you, Ryan. I don't have any problems with the name change. I like that it's a normal kid name, but with a goofy last name. As somebody that has a occasionally unpronounceable last name, all of the Witwicky jokes, I really appreciate it. It's like that.
I think they go to the well a few too many times, but sure.
I don't. Well, they go to the well too many times in this entire movie. It's an exercise in going to the well too many times. But I take your point. But like, I don't know. I think I got part ways with you guys on this school scene, because this is like what Michael Bay's Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I mean, there's I don't think there is a kid under 25 in this scene here. It's just like it just looks. It's weirdly inauthentic.
It is. It doesn't like the Megan Fox's boyfriend or whatever the dude she's with at the time has his arm around her, and I'm like, no, that doesn't happen in school.
Fun fact about that guy while we're on him. That's a weird way to say it. That actor's he comes up later in the movie, spoilers, but that's Tyler Van Winkle, and he's actually on the hit Netflix series You right now. So he's coming along. It's a very popular show.
I like that show.
Factoid.
Okay, so Sam's dad picks him up from school in a sweet ride.
Yeah.
I'm not a car guy, but that's a fun car. So Sam's dad takes him to a used car lot to buy a vehicle, and Bernie Mac is there as the car salesman guy, and he is a treasure.
He is
R.I.P.
the most memorable character in the last 50 years of film, let's say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love all this scene that we're going to talk about, but I don't know how to feel about the fake out. Where he takes Sam to the Porsche dealership, and it's like no, dad. I mean, I
like that because it feels like a dad move.
Oh, that's such a dad thing, right?
Yeah, and with the car also. One of the things that you have to appreciate about this movie in particular, this is where Michael Bay's strength as a gearhead, as a car commercial guy comes in, because like in a movie that is a car commercial, it makes sense that you have the car commercial guy in here. So like all of the vehicles, anytime they're filmed, just look magnificent in a way that, again, like Michael Andrews was talking about the Bumblebee movie, and like there isn't like quite that level of fetishization of the vehicles.
Yeah, Michael Bay's definitely come on a car. Like,
oh yeah,
100%.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's a lot of fun, guys, but I think Michael Bay is a genius for this, because this movie was fucking expensive to make, and him and his team went out and got the rights to use these cars. They got, the car companies themselves to be pumped to advertise this.
Yeah.
I remember my friend, I was working at an ice cream shop, and my coworker came in, and he had just bought a car, and they gave him a t-shirt with a transformer on it. And it was like, standing next to the car he purchased. And I was like, yeah, this is genius. This is how we're going to get these special effects that we want.
Absolutely. And I'm sure we'll have to talk about this later because it doesn't fit in this portion of the conversation, but we'll have to talk about how that partnership also extends to the American military. There's a lot of military fetishization in there, and that's one of like the retroactive criticisms of it, where like young people now watching that, holy shit, that's got a boner for the American military. But it's like it's Michael Bay has those same connections that he does with the car companies, and that's how you get all that. I mean, I think younger folks don't quite understand how licensing and access works.
Yeah, I don't. I didn't like it at the time, and I still don't like it. Like, because that's Michael Bay's thing. He does military porn, and I don't like it.
But people used to like that. Remember, the military used to be something respected.
Yeah, and then MK Ultra happened.
Now we cut back to Uncle Bobby B, Bobby Bolivia, just like the country, but without the runs.
Oh my God.
We can just start talking about the casual racism.
Like, it is weird to have that conversation hand in hand, where, I mean, obviously we're all very reverential and grateful to see Bernie Mac on screen. It's like when that scene opens up, I was just like, oh, I mean, it's like, it really was like that it was almost I don't know, almost forlorn, or like I had like angst on it. I'm just like, oh, Bernie Mac is so great in this scene, and he's just not here anymore. And it's like it was a weird bittersweet melancholy that came with it.
I do want his outfit also.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I have dressed in my used car salesman outfit today as well.
Yeah, I feel, Ryan, you're always kind of like, that's sort of a goal for you, is to dress like Bernie Mac in this movie. You're just he's just out of reach, that look that you're getting.
I did also.
He's custom faded.
So yeah, ended up they like Bumblebee is there, and keeps inserting himself as a car to get bought by Ron and Sam. And I felt really bad because what he ends up doing, Bumblebee broadcasts a signal that explodes all the glass in all the other cars. And I was like, I felt really bad for the Bernie Mac as a character. I'm like, it just made me think of like Tiger King, where he's like, I'll never financially recover from this.
He's gonna make his cousin clean it up, so it's not that big.
Oh man. Okay, so I'm just gonna start talking about it here. The casual racism and sexism in this movie is very irritating, especially dealing with Megan Fox. This comment jumps a little ahead, but 39 minutes in, I had counted no less than 4 times someone makes a disparaging remark about someone speaking Spanish, and Bernie Mac straight up calls his employee Ricky Ricardo. And what they do with Jazz is just like, we'll get there.
Yeah.
Sam is.
Yeah, this is kind of a. I actually want to mention this because this is kind of a. It's kind of a tough subject because as the guy that's here because I love these movies, I really need to sort of make a point to separate myself from those things. There's a lot of problematic stuff, and not even just problematic from the lens of 2022. It was problematic then, and people knew it. But I like the robots. I'm here for the bigger things of the story. So I just want to be clear. I'm not in it for the over sexualization and the,
like
the
I still like
anti-feminist agenda and racism.
Yeah, I still like Breakfast Club, but there's straight up sexual assault in it. So
yeah, totally.
So Sam is a little. I have a list of things I just want to cram into this comment. Sam is a little overly obsessed with possessing a woman, but I mean that kind of tracks with being an idiot teenager, I guess. He also complains that his boy dog Mojo is wearing a sparkly collar. And
That's his bling.
The comment. This is later, but the comment where he picks up Megan Fox, he's like, I wonder if I could ride you home. I mean, give you a ride home. And I'm like, ugh, get it out of here.
Yeah, and also the dog is addicted to pain pills for no apparent reason.
Oh,
it's
he
like,
has a cast
what is all
on.
of that?
Yeah, that is weird. I don't know why they gave him a cast and gave him pain pills, but the dog has a cast, so
yeah,
presumably has a broken leg.
I misspoke when I said no apparent reason. I guess I was looking more macro than
for
micro.
no reason. Yeah, like,
yeah.
There's
like
a lot of that. Like, why?
Thing.
Like, why did you put that in there?
Is the entirety of the dog's existence just to pee on Ironhide's foot? Because I think that's the last we see of that dog.
He's very important to the plot, Mike. You need to pay attention to him. So they put a sparkly collar on him. They give him a cast.
So, to Megan Fox, like, they really treat her poorly, I feel like, for the most part in this movie. The scene with her looking under the hood is very cringe-inducing. Bay has said that he makes movies for 14-year-old boys, and action-wise, no problem. But the sexism is a big problem. And it's kind of like the 80s movies where I thought, because it was on a TV, as a kid, was on a TV show or a movie, that it's okay to treat people like that. And there was a lot of unlearning I had to do. Because I would just like assume that this is okay. Why would Bumblebee want Sam to hook up with Michaela?
He's his bro, it's his wingman. It's his buddy.
I think it's deeper than that. I think Bumblebee's got a kink. I think that's what he's into.
He was sent here to study human mating rituals.
Yeah.
This is where you start.
So we've jumped to the part where Sam has the car. He picked Michaela breaks up with her asshole boyfriend, and then Sam gives her a ride home.
Well, can we talk about Sam's imaginary friend that disappears from the movie?
Oh,
that kid.
So that I'm convinced that kid does
not exist,
a ghost or an apparition, or maybe
he's never there. He's a Fight Club situation.
I think so, because Sam Witwicky, I assume, has some inherited mental difficulties from perhaps his great grandfather or whatever, because he just casually throws that out in his presentation. It's like, oh yeah, he went blind and insane, so maybe there is some mental difficulties that have passed down. But my point being is that Sam Witwicky is a crazy person. He has a degree of psychosis and probably some undiagnosed issues because like the mania, the way that he talks to himself.
You could
And-
diagnose him, like, armchair diagnose him as bipolar, and he's having a manic episode.
Well, and I think that there's maybe a small dash of schizophrenia in there, and I think that manifests in this friend that does not exist. Because like, you know, who is this guy? So it's like, so it's probably like when they go to the lake and it's like, hey, what are you guys doing? I'm climbing this tree. Imagine that kid is just not there, and it's just Shia LaBeouf being just like disassociated, remembering this friend that, you know, maybe took his own life or the previous summer or something.
In the laundry list I have of like, why did you put this in the movie? Why does that character exist at all?
I will say it's very realistic to a friend I had growing up. It was just like, yeah, we're just trying to infiltrate the cool crowd, and he has to, like, he did climb a tree. He was climbing stuff all the time. I don't know why it happened, and then he got laid like 5 times and I didn't. So maybe he was onto something.
Sure,
He was onto something.
It might be realistic, I guess, just from a movie making standpoint. I'm like, if it doesn't advance the plot and doesn't mean anything, why is it in here?
Mm-hmm. In a movie that's over bloated,
exactly.
There's a lot. It's like
I'll have a lot of those complaints.
and so even like, so to my theory that this kid doesn't exist, I mean, there are no consequences for him marooning this kid to presumably to his death.
Yeah,
you know,
I just assumed he got killed by a drifter.
Sure. Or he himself became a drifter. So, real Jack Reacher situation there. I don't know. But yes, Megan Fox, and this portion of the Transformers brought to you by Tummy.
Yeah.
Tummy oil. Get tummy oil wherever gross stuff is sold. And it's
before we get off that subject, I don't want to. I think it's underselling Megan Fox a little bit to say that she's like only a sex symbol.
I agree.
In this movie.
She's given stuff to do.
Her character's pretty badass.
Yes.
In a lot of ways.
That's true.
She knows stuff about cars. Mm-hmm. She's cool. She inserts herself in battles when she doesn't need to.
I agree.
She's way more capable than Sam. I mean, it's like, why can't this be her movie? Why does it have to be this loser, privileged, rich kid movie?
To go back
because your demographic needs a Witwicky in the movie to tie it to the original '86.
It's the same. It's exactly the same as the series, because in it we talk about this on several episodes. Carly is so much more capable than Spike, and like he's really punching up when he's dating her. But yeah, I agree. I don't like she is objectified kind of a lot, but also, yes, she's given stuff to do, and she is a fully fleshed out character. So that's nice.
Yes. And we talked about this earlier, but I think unfairly Megan Fox is criticized for this performance. She's pretty good here, and she's doing the best she can with what she's given. Because there is
a solid performance.
I think she crushes it.
Yeah. But I mean, the objectification, man, is just like, I remember even being like, you know, a 29-year-old man watching this movie with his wife being like, so then watching it all these years later, watching it last night with my wife, and it was just like, we're both looking at each other, and it's just like, it's just, I mean, there's no other way to say that it's just not good. It's very uncomfortable to where it's the rubber band effect, where you go from like what we're saying here, that she's capable and knowledgeable. It's like, oh yeah, I know stuff about cars, to, you know, her raising the hood like looking under the hood and marveling at the engine and knowing what those parts are. And the takeaway is you get a Shia LaBeouf a double pump joke. And I do like her line delivery of like, yeah, no, that's what puts the fuel into the engine to make it go fast. I do like that little bit of mansplaining that she does to him there, but it's all thrown away with the objectification.
It is true. There's like a double-edged sword here, because like no woman aside from the mother can even remotely look like a normal woman. Like the tech analyst Maggie Madsen, she is fucking gorgeous, but also then she knows her shit, but then they also give her, like John Voight says, if you don't get a filter on that brain mouth thing, and like, so she's pretty, so she must be stupid. It's very annoying. Like,
Well, yes, but don't you think that's in there to make John Voight look bad?
I don't know
her?
why John Voight's in this movie.
I forgot John Voight was in this movie. I'm like, holy shit, it's John Voight.
Like, his character doesn't need to be here. It's again where I'm
No.
like, we don't need okay. I have
Maybe
this,
he doesn't exist. He's an imaginary friend too.
okay. I have this note later, but we're here, so I might as well say, there's the Army, there's the FBI, there's the Secretary of State or Defense.
Yeah.
There's Sector 7. Get
Sector 7.
rid of all of it but Sector 7. We don't need any of it. Like, it's so... It doesn't add anything. Like, just make it one U.S. like I love clandestine. The idea of a clandestine U.S. Wing. Like, just make it all them, but make John Turturro's character not something I want to put a bullet in my head for.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
you guys, you're taking away everything I love about this movie.
Yes.
Oh, I love John
The
Turturro,
reductionist
but his character
podcast.
makes me want to like go back in time and abort my mother.
Whoa. That's,
All
I
right,
mean,
let's get back on track.
Okay.
So we're just getting past the lake party scene.
Yeah.
And I want to, and you're right, the over sexualization is there. I want to write it off as maybe this is just sort of we're seeing Michaela through a pervy
Sam's
teen
eyes.
boys
Yeah.
thing, but yeah, it
he
goes a little
literally
too
does
far.
the oh my god, she's so hot look.
Yeah,
Like I can't believe this is happening to me.
and none of us on this call have ever done that, right? Yeah. All right.
All right.
But anyway,
Oh, he's
I love
right.
the
Oh,
bit-
you're right.
I love the bit where Sam Witwicky is doing the thing where he's saying, I'm not a romantic friend. I mean, I could be, but I'm not. You know, I love that bit. And I just want to say that right at this moment, Kate, my partner, leaned over to me and she was eating some candy. And I said, do you have any, thoughts on this scene? And she goes, I wish I had bought the good kind of candy and not the mistake kind. So that was a good interjection on her part.
Mhm.
That's a great line.
It's really important. Remember that, guys.
What's not a great line though is the first of no fewer than 3 utterances of more than meets the eye. I hated
I actually
it
don't
then.
remember that.
He hated it. He hated it when he said it.
Yes,
He said, I think there's a lot more to meet the eye than, take stuff and like it.
Yep.
Take
And
luck
it-
and care.
Take
Care of the luck you have.
Turns him into Brian Regan.
Yeah, 29-year-old Mike had a real problem with that. It's like I laughed the first time, but then like with each subsequent time, it's not only diminishing returns, but it is like a sharp drop off to where it's just like now I'm just mad.
But Mike, to its credit, I mean, that's not a joke. I mean, that's a joke that's old to us that live our lives with Transformers. But I know that's something that maybe the casual fan would only know about Transformers is that
Yeah.
old catchphrase from the commercials.
Mhm.
Yep.
That's true.
Yep. I mean, I'll co-sign it. I think you get one. So I mean, I will co-sign one, Senator. But like we've talked a lot about like the budget of this movie and where like a lot of the money came from. It's like the half of the budget that wasn't spent on visual effects had to have been spent on music licensing, because good lord, the needle drops in this movie. Like I almost forgot. I remembered that Bumblebee talks through the radio, and I remember it being like sound clips. Like I don't know where he's getting sound
Yeah,
clips
I
on
know.
the radio, but whatever. I wasn't as mad about that trope this time around as I have been in the past, which kind of surprised me. But again, it's like all the needle drops, all the aggressive licensing. It was interesting. What'd you guys think about like the on the nose use of popular music? Because that frames into the sequence.
Here's a shocker. I don't remember any music from this movie. Like, I didn't know there was music in it, and I don't remember what it was.
I love it.
Yeah, I think it's got it's got the I know we're not talking about the score, but the score of Steve Jablonsky is incredibly powerful.
Yes.
And I think it's kind of cool pairing it with very modern, hip. Again, you got to get those butts in the seats when you make this big of a movie.
All I
Well, and
remember is the song, like, when he picks up Michaela is Who's Gonna Take You Home, because I like that song.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good stuff.
The score does rock.
Yeah, I will agree. Yeah, the score I did notice, and it's very good.
And I remember being a younger person having a hang up on it. Well, it's like, where's the Transformers theme? Where's like some familiar music? And retroactively, or in retrospect, it's like, I like that it's its own thing. I think like the live action Transformers theme is iconic in its own right and has established it as its own legacy. And but yeah, no, solid score. I mean, there's so much sound design wise and design aesthetics and stuff that is solid in this movie. Capital letters solid.
I will agree. And I there's a lot of like there's a lot of like I said, fun nods to the G1 stuff, sometimes a little too much in my opinion, actually. But I would not have liked to
God,
hear...
you just can't make you fans happy. You know that? They put stuff in there that's just for you.
They just do
too much,
no,
or it's not enough.
I like what they do. I'm not saying there's too much. I'm saying, like Mike said, more than meets the eye is said 3 times. I'm like, just do it. I guess repetition is what is irritating me. Like,
Sure.
But I do like that they didn't. I wouldn't have liked to hear like the Transformers like cartoon theme song.
No, it's got no place here. And again, this is a movie. Well, not for grown-ups, but at least for not children. I guess. Well, actually, who is this movie for? Is it for
14-year-old boys?
14-year-old boys. We have our answer.
There we go. Asked and answered.
I also do, but I do appreciate one thing I really liked is they did use the classic Decepticon and Autobot symbols. Like they didn't change them, and I thought that was really nice.
Yes. They modified them though,
a little,
like like a little bit in like ways to where it's like, why did you do that? Is that like a Punisher skull type of situation where like you have to change it just enough or something? Well, no, I mean deep tangent, but like the whole thing with like the Punisher skull, like the version of it that's been co-opted by the folks that have co-opted it is it's the Thomas Jane movie version. It always presents as that version, not the Marvel Comics version, not any other subsequent version. It's that specific one. And I don't know why. I just know that it is. But it is interesting though that like it's overall the same, but like the eyes in the Decepticon logo or like
they're very
diamonds.
Small.
They're small diamonds instead of like big triangles, and like the Autobot face is the same, but like the proportions are a little different. Like again, like the eyes are smaller.
It didn't bother me.
I'm not saying it's bothersome. It didn't bother me either, and I do like that they use that. Whereas, like with something like Beast Wars, like it was kind of like a deal breaker for me. It's like I'm like Maximals, Predacons, fuck out of here. This isn't for me. But that's legislation for a different day. It's legislation for a different day. I'm just trying to get people mad at me. It's fine, being provocative and whatnot. But it's I guess it's just more puzzling. It's like is it like a copyright issue? Is it like a licensing thing?
I think it's probably just the filmmakers wanting to put their own spin on something, sort of like how in every like Iron Man movie his suit's a little different, Spider-Man suit's a little different in everyone. I think it's just them trying to be interesting.
Well, I wanted to know if maybe it was just, sort of realizing that in like brushed metal and stuff was different than it being drawn in a 2D scale.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a design choice.
So, to get back into the movie...
Yes, get us back on track.
Sam and his dad buy Bumblebee, and then one night, B takes off, with Sam following, thinking his car is being stolen, only to discover B in robot form in a junkyard, sending a signal to his comrades that the glasses have been found with coordinates to the cube. I think that's what happens.
Is that what happened?
That's mostly right.
Oh, okay. Wow. I was too busy marveling at Bumblebee's bat signal.
Yeah.
Because like there is some kind of like symbol in there. I don't know
it's
if
an Autobot symbol.
It is an Autobot symbol?
I couldn't tell if
it was that or like a glyph.
You can't tell on the DVD. I'll go to bat. I didn't know it was an Autobot symbol until I saw the Blu-ray.
That is so much dumber.
It's not
That's so much more dumb.
I mean, also, I don't know. I mean, light
Autobot!
Starscream's up there going, this isn't for us, guys.
Yeah.
Don't answer this one.
Those are the other guys. That's the other
voicemail.
Yeah, and I also in this scene, Sam leaves a video to his family in case he dies. I did also
which is very funny.
It
actually.
is funny, and I thought it was
Yeah.
very, very cute that he left a goodbye message for his dog at the end. That was very sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You first.
We're at 35 minutes when we get our first mainline Transformer sighting in Bumblebee. By the way, when he stands up, which is an epic scene, by the way. That's at the 35-minute mark. I took a note
It's
of
weird
that.
we don't see him transform.
Yeah.
That's strange.
And
it's
I
like
like
that
the-
first scene in, or not first scene, but that first Autobot scene in the movie where Ironhide transforms up behind a wall.
Yeah, that is weird. But I do like that Bumblebee is kind of like off in the distance, and
Yeah.
and again,
Beautiful
Michael,
shot.
you
It
could
is.
probably sharpshoot this better because maybe it's a DVD clarity issue, but like he's kind of like in shadow. It's like more of a silhouette more than just like a big money shot. That kind of comes later when he transforms in front of Sam and Michaela to defend them against Barricade, which incidentally, I mean, in a movie that has cool iconic transformations, that was another Goosebumps one for me to see. To I don't know, there's like a visceral intensity to it. Like he's almost like ripping himself out of his vehicle mode, where it's like, he almost like throws his arm out and like pounds it on the ground, and there's like a weird violence to it that is, as a Transformers fan, I hadn't really seen before. But like when he steps back and you see like all like the gears and stuff that
Beautiful.
is identifiable as not just like machine parts, but like car parts. It's like, oh, there's like brake calipers and engine belts and stuff that it's probably not the correct engine parts, but the fact that it has the look of car parts as opposed to generic machinery, or even like the more protoform insectile type of thing. I just thought that was really cool, and that really held up for me. I was like, just like you could see like in his ankle and stuff, there's like that spinning gear thing. I'm like, I think I've seen that in a car before.
Well, yeah, just to your point, like the whirring and the buzzing, and there's all these little parts that are always moving on them. That's so cool, and that's so expensive to do. Like they could have just made it just like a standard thing, but they gave us something to look at.
Yeah, it is cool. I think.
How is it that Jet is the grump of the group here? I thought that was going to be my job.
Like Seibert came to do that.
Right?
I remember.
It's like, that's why I'm here.
I remember seeing like early shots of like like Bumblebee in particular, like before the movie came out, of like on the set, and I'm like, ugh, I don't like the way that looks at all, and I feel that way still. I think they just did too much. Just simple. I have this note later, and I'll expand on it then. But like, just make it a little simpler. Like, it's a little too much, especially when they're fighting. I can't tell what's going on.
Well, let me ask you right then. What do you think of the Bumblebee movie design? Like their most recent version of Bumblebee, is that the kind of stripped down that you preferred? Or?
Basically, yeah. That's kind of what I like. That's the Soundwave in that, and the Optimus Prime in that movie. Like, I'm like, okay, this is the middle ground I was kind of looking for.
Sure.
I'll co-sign that as well. It's like I like the Bumblebee aesthetic. I do think that this iteration of the characters is a bit over-designed for my taste, but I think it's one of those things, much like with the new characters, I'm just accustomed to it. So I didn't encounter any challenges this time, but I like Michael, like you were just saying, seeing that there's so much more animation and movement. Like when we meet Optimus Prime later, there's stuff like on his head that is constantly moving.
That's pretty cool.
I didn't remember any of that stuff because it's not in the later movies. It's just something that they drop.
It is
so
nice
like,
little touches. Like I said, like I keep saying, like there's like a lot of care went into this movie.
Yeah. Well, Mike, I'll actually push back on that a little bit, because in that scene you're talking about with Optimus and the little spinning bit on his head, there's actually one of the ancient Cybertronian symbols, which becomes a huge staple of the plot for the second movie. So I think that's still in there. A lot of that stuff, those little kibbly moving parts in the second and third movie.
Okay, so we're gonna no, I'm
Go
just
to hell.
no. I agree. Not at all. I agree. That's actually awesome. Like that's another, like I said, component that's did a lot of thought went into this, and they actually did pull from a lot of different fiction for these guys.
Sure.
So Sam at the junkyard where he sees Bumblebee doing the signal, he gets arrested by the police. And then Sam and his dad are at the police station with the worst comic relief cop. I mean, the thing where he's like, "Are you eyeballing me?" was kind of funny. Like, "Are you eyeballing my piece, 50 Cent?" Like,
what is this scene though? What is
it's
this
meaningless.
scene?
It's again
It's
meaningless. Doesn't go anywhere. Doesn't come back.
I don't know who this guy is. This Not-Judd-Nelson looking dude.
Mhm.
I don't know, man. It's one of those things where it was just really cringe. I had
Dick
no time
cop.
for
I
it.
thought that's what people like. It should have aged very well.
All of a sudden, we're in a weird like L.A. law situation. I
Yeah.
don't know. I will say this to everybody: don't ever talk to the cops for any reason, and don't let your kids do it. The only word you know is lawyer. Don't
That's
do
right.
it. Never, ever, ever, never once. Not even if you're completely innocent. Speak to the police. Any lawyer will tell you it can never help you, can only hurt you.
I do think it's interesting that for as pro-military as this movie is,
Mhm.
it's not especially pro-police.
No, not at all.
I mean, ACAB is as much as the day is long, but I do think it's interesting that the Decepticons do take on forms of authority type vehicles. You know,
Yeah.
obviously Barricade is a cop car, Blackout is a military helicopter, Starscream is a military jet.
Yeah, and that was purposeful.
Tank Guy is a tank thing. And then Shovel Guy is this is really falling apart on me here.
I got all those vehicles listed down for later when they make an appearance.
Excellent.
So
Terrific.
Because
I
I
got that covered.
had to look up everyone's name because I don't know if any of the Decepticons aside from Starscream and Megatron are ever named in the dialogue.
Well, the tank guy names himself the wrong name. So
That's right. I
that's
think in the closed captioning, is that the guy who's named Devastator in closed captioning, but his name is
Yeah.
actually whatever?
Correct.
his name is whatever. Yes.
We'll get there. No, don't ruin it.
Wait for it. So
And his name is John Cena. Do, 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 do.
we cut back to Qatar, where Scorponok attacks the scattered human soldiers under Captain Lennox's command out in the desert. And it took me a while in reading, in writing out this this outline. I was like, why did he do that? Like, what is the point of him attacking these guys? And I finally figured out, oh, right, Sergeant Epps in the first scene, the attack with Blackout, has photographic evidence of them, which is like, who fucking cares? Like, how much evidence do you get whenever Barricade attacks Bumblebee in the parking garage? Like, there's got to be cameras there. Like, what? Again, I'm like, this doesn't matter.
I found the whole thing very confusing. First, going all the way back to the beginning when Epps, Tyrese, National Treasure is like, I didn't realize what he was doing. I was like, why are you looking at this giant robot through binoculars? This makes no sense.
Yeah.
I didn't even pick up that he was taking a picture
Yeah, I didn't
of
That's
the
why
robot.
I had to look it up.
And then the thrust of their story becomes, we have to get this photograph to the Pentagon.
Mhm.
And so the end of their story is a Nickelback song where it's just like, look at this photograph. It's a big dumb robot that you already know.
I would argue that they're just trying to survive at this point. Their base has been stomped. They're the only survivors, and they need to cross a desert. So I don't think they give as much fuck about the photograph as we do either.
Well, the
But they
whole
talk
next
about it,
scene
though.
is Captain Lennox trying to get that information to the Pentagon.
That's true. But I guess I would just argue that it was more about survival at that point. And yes, it would be nice if they would show the picture. But that's why Scorponok was after them, right? It's more important to Scorponok, that photo, than I think it is to the actual soldiers.
This action scene also, I think, is pretty good. Like, it's I like it.
It's for the trailer. Like when they're blowing off all that primer cord under the sand to get Scorponok jumping out of the sand. It's like, that was a shot you could not get away from.
Yeah,
and since it had been a while since I had seen the movie, I kind of forgot about that shot and like forgot how cool it was.
It
I
is
was
very
like,
cool.
Oh yeah, it is. That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I will also say, like, whenever Sergeant Epps, Tyrese is like bring the rain, I was like, oh, that's a great line.
Yes,
that was
It's a
awesome.
great line. And I like
Yes.
that he gets it. I mean, Epps is a cool character. Tyrese is awesome, but and I like that you get flashes of what we contextualize Tyrese to be. Just he's kind of like the same character in them Fast and Furious movies, where it's just like a lot of just like crazed yelling. I like Tyrese yelling. I mean, I might be on that island
Left
by
cheek.
myself, but I like it. I mean,
Yes.
I laughed as much this time as I did on my first viewing. It's just like that left cheek.
Yeah, he's great.
It's good
That's another
stuff.
thing is, I will say, I feel like everybody in the movie, the human characters, do feel like real people.
Well, the ones that are characters do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The folks that aren't characters don't, like a Spanish dude, and I can't remember what that actor's name is, nor do I remember like that Michael Andrews looking dude that totally eats shit later, the guy that wanted to eat.
That was me, actually.
I wanted to make that joke earlier, and the moment passed. So now, as this character meets his end, I get around it. I'm like, oh yeah, and that Michael Andrews looking dude totally eats.
That's
shit.
the
he's
part
very
where
handsome. I'll take that.
that's the part where
Well,
I was
so-
like, sorry, that was the part where I was like, wow, he just dies right. It's not even incidental death. He's just speared on Scorponok's tail and on screen. I was like, wow, there's a lot of dead people in here.
They didn't. I think they cut it out, but when he got stabbed, he yelled, "Oh, my flat beer, my cold hot dog,
hot dog."
The cruelest. He never got to have that.
Tell
One
the
last beer.
stocks I love them.
I was gonna say, so I like this scene a lot. I like this battle. I also like that this Predator drone comes to like save the day. But prior to this, I had no idea what that was even a real thing. I think it's cool. It's actually an MQ-1 Predator drone is what it's called. And what's kind of cool about it is that it inspired the Soundwave's vehicle mode from Transformers Prime. Like he goes on to be that vehicle in that show. And it also made this really cool toy called it's from Dark of the Moon. Air Raid was also one of these drones. And I just thought that sort of, for me, that kind of blasted it. Like once I saw it, I saw it everywhere. And it was like, oh yeah, this is a thing.
Yeah,
So
thanks, American government, for making freedom throughout the world with drone attacks.
Well, I was going to say, well, I think I had my answer to the question I was going to ask. It's like, is here a good spot to talk about all the military porn? Because that is very much a hallmark of Michael Bay movies, like we said earlier, but it is very much so in this movie. And a lot of it has to do with Michael Bay's relationship with the I don't know if it's the Department of Defense is probably what I'm looking for. But like, earlier in the movie, you see like the Osprey helicopters, you see the Predator drone, you see the F-22s, and all of this stuff was like brand new. And because of the way that Michael Bay arranged it, how the military would be integral to the plot, they're like, yeah, we could, sure, Michael Bay, we'll let you photograph our brand new equipment. I think that's something that younger folks that might be coming to this movie now might not necessarily, I'm trying to dance around the word appreciation because I don't think that's the right word, but like understanding of the circumstances. Like I've heard folks say like, oh man, there's so much military porn in this movie and it's super problematic. And I guess it kind of is. And maybe that's what we could discuss here. But like the thing that I like texturally, a texture I like in this movie is that there is so much military action. Like at some point, like, we're talking about this sequence in Cutter where it's like, you got like the planes coming in, you got the drones coming in, and it is just G.I. Joe versus the Transformers at this point. And I'm kind of here for it. Like, if these guys become G.I. Joe, I got no problem with it. And it kind of doesn't, but there, even like the vocabulary that they use, that, there's a lot of like military speak and a lot of military jargon, which who knows if any of it is authentic, but it just adds another level of texture that say like the Travis Knight Bumblebee movie doesn't have, because it's a movie about Transformers and things like that. But like, this is very much a uniquely Michael Bay 2007 Transformers movie. It is very much its own unique thing.
Yeah, and I think that it probably is pretty authentic because I know Michael Bay his does have a very close relationship to the military, and also I was going to say to that point, the problem Captain Lennox has with contacting the Pentagon while under attack is apparently based on a real life situation that was told to Michael Bay on another movie by a soldier that was trying to contact his superiors, and like just a piece of shit operator was not helping him.
Oh man.
Yeah. So
That fits. Well, and I think too not just the military vehicles, it's actually military personnel he was using in this scene and in the scene earlier. And I don't think people get how cool that is. It's one of the things too where it's kind of overlooked for special effects awards because it does look so real. I think in the same way, like we have real fighter jets flying over like a real desert outpost. Like this is the real military going through these exercises for the purposes of Michael Bay's summer hit.
Yeah.
I think that's a goofy robot movie. Yeah.
As a middle-aged white man, obviously I love World War II stuff. So I will say here, like just as like a disclaimer, I'm not the U.S. government and the military like are forever war. I'm definitely not pro that at all.
Sure.
But those like Warthog planes that come in are fucking. I've always thought those were super cool, and that's like a 60-year-old plane, and they're still in action. I mean, so yeah, it's again where I have to divorce myself of like, I like seeing this. This is cool, but also this is like really happening in real life. Like,
yeah, that is tough. And I guess one thing too to add to that is that one thing that was cool about the toys that came out of this movie, because that's a huge reason that I'm invested in them, is that they took all these like little vehicles that weren't actually Transformers in the movie, but made them Transformers. They have like, they have those planes done as like a unique character. They gave them unique names. They didn't even like take names that existed already. So I just think it was a cool little touch. It was more opportunities again to like, what if this pops into a robot all of a sudden? Like the first time you're seeing it, you just don't know. I think that's part of the fun that they're playing with.
Yeah.
So after this, we go back to, I guess, the Pentagon, wherever, in the 19th human storyline. Maggie steals an SD memory card with the virus the Decepticons loaded onto the U.S. defense files to bring down their system. Oh, did I skip over that part? Yeah, that happened. And then there's a George W. Bush joke about him on Air Force One. Ding dongs. Anyway.
Oh yeah,
George W. Bush.
Well, I was gonna say
everybody's
it's like
favorite dog painter who's a war criminal. Whatever.
Yeah, I'm cool skipping over all of that, but I don't know if we can skip over talking about not Soundwave here.
Oh, Frenzy.
Yeah, and that was one of the challenges I ran into. I'm like, oh, cool, it's a boombox, and I'm like, the fuck is this little chattering, nattering piece of shit thing? And I'm just like, but it's a practical effect. So it's like when you see him like sneaking behind and like hiding.
Yeah, nobody sees this. There's a lot of nobody sees this in this movie.
There's a lot of that, but I mean, it's kudos for it being like at least like a unique character design and for being a lot of practical effects. But it's
I will agree. Like when it shows up, I'm not upset, but every time it shows up again and again and again, I get more annoyed, and I'm like, I wish this thing would go away.
Yeah, I mean, and that's before he starts fucking the computer.
Yeah,
aggressively. I mean, it's a real robot chicken washing machine situation there with that.
Do they even say Frenzy's name?
There is a caption, but like an in-movie caption that refers to him as Frenzy. Like when you're hearing the alien language, it calls him Frenzy.
Okay. That was kind of cool too. Where they speak in like Cybertronian and then translate it. That was neat.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. And I mean, obviously, it's like, well, what do you want here, Mike? Do you want that boombox to be Soundwave? Christ, no, absolutely not.
Right.
That's not going to work. But it's like, but at least to solve the scaling problem, you give him a cassette name, and he's kind of frantic or whatever. I guess that's kind of a frenzy thing, sort of.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't that kind of like it evokes the imagery, the boombox,
Sure.
without it actually, having to get into the phasing of the
which this movie doesn't touch, and we talked about this extensively earlier, where it's like the designers took great care. Unlike the animation studios or even the toy designer, like scale actually means something.
It's true. They
at
made
least
sure
in this first movie.
Yeah, they made sure to make everything practical. Like, if like Optimus Prime in robot form is the size that he would be if like his Freightliner became a robot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so so it really is a like, well, what the fuck do you want here? You fucking G1 or Boomer? What it's like it's frenzy. It's close as you're gonna get, and it's fine. I just don't.
It's fine.
I'm not super into the characters.
No,
Sure.
the same. I feel the same. Like I'm not like the character's fine. I have no problem with this character being frenzy or whatever. It's just that he comes back so often for no reason, and every time he pops up, I'm like.
You're not like, hey, little buddy, it's time for some fun.
I'm just increasingly irritated by him showing up all the time.
It would be like as if Wheelie was in that movie more than he is. You get like a ship stare over there, and he's out of the movie.
So,
God, I hope we get to do the second movie, you guys, because I want to talk about the Wheelie from Revenge of the Fallen.
Well.
Michael love Wheelie.
Well, I not be nearly as charitable as I am here.
So
that is a promise.
All right, friends. So that is the end of part 1. I think this will be a 3-parter, and I'm going to release them on successive days, so you don't have to wait a week or anything in between them. No worries on that. And so it'll all probably come out this weekend, I'm sure. I hope that you enjoyed this and that you will like what's coming up. It's a lot. This recording was a lot of fun. I think you'll like it. If you like what we do and at the APDC and would like to show it monetarily, please go to patreon.com/APODcast. We have several levels of support, and most of our patrons just got their annual booty boxes, with the exception of our friends in Australia, notably Michael Tremblay, because apparently Australia is just straight up not accepting packages of that size right now, which sucks. You can also find some of our past and recent some of our past and recent merch that is up there in our store at autopoddecepticast.com/APDC store. And if you'd like to leave a review, we're on Apple Pod, 5 stars, please, Stitcher, all the things you listen to. If you're listening to this now, there you go. That's how you do it. All right. We'll see you. We'll see you? No. You'll listen to us, I guess. I don't know. This is a weird outro. Thank you for listening. We enjoy you all. And pistols at dawn. Bye, bye, bye.
I bumped my knee on a table last night.
It's like I woke up this morning and I thought I was still drunk. That was about the extent of my trauma.
That's always fun when you're like, you get up and you're like 5 minutes into walking around, you're like, I think I might still be drunk. My body's not working right.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're doing that calculus in your head. You're taking inventory of how you're feeling, and it's like, am I hungover? No. Am I hungry? I am kind of thirsty. I'm like, and it's just like, I think I'm still drunk. It's like, how did this happen?
I had that a couple weeks ago. I was on a Zoom call with some old friends I hadn't seen probably since high school, and I was just getting my drink on, and the next day I woke up, I did my editing in the morning. I was like, God, I'm doing great. This is so lucky. And like an hour later I was throwing up and I was like laid out for this. I was like, what happened?
Yeah.
Fun times.
The other day, I had that the other day where I was working for like an hour, and then West comes in and like she's getting like tea or something, and I suddenly am like, I go over to the sink and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, trying to decide whether I need to throw up.
Mhm. Man, that is not the fun times where it's like you feel like you have the capacity to, but you're not sure, one, if you're gonna,
Mhm.
and two, if it's advantageous. It's just like, and then the worst though is after you do all of that internal legislation and like you go to lay back down and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, I should have gone when I had the chance. You'd have killed me when you had the chance.
Well, you know, we need to do this stuff when we're young, you guys. We're not going to be 25 forever. Okay.
Yeah.
So you never know. You never know when we'll have to cut it out.
Yeah, my recovery time on my body is great. Like, it's really awesome being in my 40s.
Yeah, real bounces back. I mean, you could just stab yourself 37 times, stand in front of a mirror, and then just watch it heal like Wolverine. And yeah, you know, you could stay up all night, drink all night, get 90 minutes of sleep, and then operate heavy machinery the next morning. Sure, that's thumbs up.
The good old days.
Yeah. Or, you know, you would think it would be a good idea to go host a rock concert during a comic convention, have a couple drinks, then go home and sleep for 90 minutes, and then jump on an airplane to go to another comic convention. That is not a good idea, and that is not what's happening this time around.
Sometimes it just, I don't want to drag this out, but sometimes it just creeps up on us. And I was back at TFCon, like where we all met. I missed most of the APOD panel because like it just caught up with me. And you know, we weren't drinking too heavily. Well, I wasn't the night before at the bar. I had 2 drinks walking around to room parties, and I think Caleb bought me a beer.
Yeah.
And that was it. But for whatever reason, it caught me the next day, and I was like out.
Yeah, that happened when we were in Baltimore last October. Like, West and I had planned, we were leaving on Tuesday, but on Monday we had planned to go out and get like, there was this oysters on the half shell cocktail happy hour, and
Sure.
like I didn't really drink that much on Sunday. Aaron and I went out and got a burger, and I don't know if I got food poisoning or not, but I was throwing up. I threw up that afternoon, and then I went to sleep, and at 4, and then I woke up and finished the burger like that I brought home, and then threw up again at 4 in the morning, and was just, I couldn't do anything the next day. Like, we didn't leave the hotel.
I wonder if some of that stuff is like activity and excitement related, because whether you're cognizant of it or not, that all of that is still taking wear and tear on your body. Also, you're still putting mileage on just from like the excitement of hanging out with friends and just, you know, the exuberance that comes with it. It's all just mileage and stress on your body. So it's none of this is surprising.
Yeah, and Aaron said the same thing. Like, he was like down for the next 2 days because, and he's like, I think it was just maybe overexertion of like the being there the whole weekend.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, I mean, 2 Saturdays ago, I knew it was because I cracked half a bottle of rum, but like I don't know what it was.
See, it all comes back around.
It was that 1 beer and two rail drinks from the hotel bar.
Bro Cells is the sponsor of Autopod Decepticast. Yes.